Segu agwegu, deganadasa niengets. What I said was, welcome everyone. My traditional name is Deganadasa. I'm the Vice President, Student Services, Vice President Truth, Reconciliation, and Indigenization for Algonquin College, and it is my honor to welcome all of you to this year's 2019 Algonquin College Convocation. As guests, Algonquin College is proud to acknowledge that today's convocation ceremony is taking place on the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. In recognition of this, our graduate procession will be accompanied by members of the Ottawa River Singers. Using traditional language and songs, we will offer messages of encouragement using the drum, which also represents the heartbeat of our Mother Earth. Guests of graduates, may I please ask you to stand and remain standing for the procession of the graduands. Yawango, yoyandadi.
Please be seated. Before we begin, I would like to say thank you, miigwech, to the Ottawa River Singers for leading us in and for their performance in celebration of our students. It was a very meaningful and a fitting way to begin our ceremony. Once again, for the Ottawa River Singers. Welcome to Convocation 2019. My name is Claude Brûlé. I am the Senior Vice President at Algonquin College. And this evening, it's my pleasure to act as your Master of Ceremony to help guide us through this evening's ceremonies. It's also my honor to extend a sincere welcome to our graduates, their families, and friends. There we go. Convocation is a very important event, a time to celebrate our graduates' achievements. You, our graduates, came to the college with a dream. You have successfully completed your studies, and today you will receive your diploma or certificate recognizing that accomplishment. You are now ready to meet the challenges that lay ahead. We wish you well, and we're delighted to be here this evening to salute you. We also welcome all of our friends and families who are watching via our live web streaming. We're so thrilled that you're able to join us this evening for this wonderful ceremony. At this point, I would ask all who are able to please stand and join with our vocalist, Nathaniel Pinnock, in the singing of our national anthem.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you very much, Nathaniel. Please be seated. I will now introduce the members of the stage party, beginning with the back row. I would ask that they stand when introduced and remain standing until all have been introduced. And for the audience to please withhold applause until all have been introduced. And I need this for the fine print here. All right. Greg Jeffries, Perth Director, Students Association. Elena McDonnell, Director, Marketing and Recruitment. Dr. Krista Pearson, Registrar. Sarah Munro, Chair, Algonquin College, Perth Campus. Laura Stanborough, Vice President, Student Services. Dejanelle Simon, President, Students Association. Barbara Dumont-Hill, Indigenous Elder. Ron Jiganis McLester, Vice President, Truth, Reconciliation, and Indigenization. Cheryl Jensen, President. Jay McLaren, Member, Board of Governors. Wayne Johnson, Member, Board of Governors. Chris Hahn, Dean, Algonquin College, Perth Campus. Ladies and gentlemen, your stage party. Thank you. Please be seated. And now may I ask the faculty and staff to stand. Thank you for joining me in recognizing the faculty and staff of Algonquin College and the contributions they make to the success of our graduates. Once again, well done. I now call upon Cheryl Jensen, President of Algonquin College, to give the President's address. President Jensen.
Thank you very much, Claude. Well, what are you most excited about tonight? Your wonderful convocation, or maybe there's a basketball game on a little bit later? Let's focus completely on convocation, and we'll get you out as soon as we can. So, good evening, graduates of 2019. I'm so honored to have the opportunity to be with all of you today. This is your day. And on behalf of the Board of Governors of Algonquin College, I want to welcome you, our graduates, your families, and your friends. Now, speaking of friends, some of you may have friends and family who couldn't be with us here tonight, but we know there are many people who you are thinking about, and they're thinking about you with love and pride. So let me add my welcome to all of those who are watching this event online. I know that many of you are also joined here today by people who support you and who have likely helped you in some way as you've taken this journey. Helped you with encouraging words, late-night pep talks, picking up the slack at home, maybe the children and the housework, or maybe even providing an emergency loan, or even better, a grant or two. So let's thank them and tell them all we love them. If you're a family member or a friend of a graduate, please stand as you're able or give a wave so that our graduates and the entire Algonquin community can show their gratitude. Please stand. Thank you. You've also been sitting for a while, so that will help. So, graduates of 2019, I want to thank each and every one of you for choosing Algonquin. We know that you have had many choices, and we are very grateful that you chose us. Now, I might be a little bit biased, and I know our employees feel that same bias, but I will say with confidence that you chose well. Algonquin's reputation for quality and innovation is well recognized, and you should display your certificate, your diploma, or your degree with a great deal of pride. And speaking of this pride, I will also want to personally thank our employees, our faculty, staff, and administration at Algonquin. This group works so hard to support our students, and it shows. You consistently give Algonquin high marks for student satisfaction. Now, I want to say something in a way that I've never said before here in Perth, and I will warn you that I've only just learned to say this, even though I'm practicing really hard. Onge ka kina kinawin, ka odamatayang, ishkewang magwa odapenameg, io pabaramazwin, apita dagwa tanyizyeng, onaje nongom. What I just said in the Algonquin language, not really well, was, for all of us who have worked behind the scenes as you have taken this journey, it's an honor to be here with you. It was important for me to deliver part of my address to you in Algonquin. Not only is it our college name, and our college was named for the Algonquin people, but the United Nations has declared 2019 the International Year of Indigenous Languages. The aim of this awareness campaign is to let people know that many of these languages are at risk of disappearing forever, and to help us understand the link between language, development, peace, and reconciliation. At Algonquin College, we've made truth and reconciliation a priority, and I believe it will be your generation that will help us move closer to a world in which this is possible. Please take that spirit with you when you leave here today. Now, I'll give you a few words, I would hope of wisdom, before you are off and away. If you've listened to other speeches at graduations, you know that they often focus on the optimism of the future, how shiny and bright everything is today, and how many opportunities await you. And all of this is true. But tonight, I'm going to assume you know this and focus on something that you may not know and that has taken me years to discover myself. I want to give you some tools that you can use in the years to come to embrace whatever comes your way. So rather than focus exclusively on the good times, I want to talk a little bit about the obstacles I have overcome and learned to embrace, and perhaps share some advice with you. Now, it's always a tiny bit uncomfortable to talk about yourself, and I don't want to do that today either. As I said, this is your day. Instead, I'm going to tell you how you can be your own kind of superhero. But I'll get to that in a second. I told you this was going to be a little bit of a different convocation address. You may know me as the president and the CEO of Algonquin College, at least from the seemingly endless emails that I send to you. It is without a doubt one of the proudest points in my career to be your president. I'm proud because of the work I get to do, the people I get to work with, and above all, the hundreds of learners I interact with every day. Learners like you, who will, I'm sure, go on to change the world. I expect nothing less. And you should expect nothing less of yourselves. At the very least, you should try to change the world around you, the world of your family, your workplace, or the community, by finding ways to take action, small and large, for the greater good. One of the ways you can do this is by being a graduate of steel. Before Superman, the original Man of Steel, was faster than a speeding bullet, the expression about him was that he was faster than a streak of lightning, more powerful than the pounding surf, and mightier than a roaring hurricane. Well, I've tried to be all those things, and I have no doubt that you can be all of those things too. I'm not just going to tell you what I have done, though. That would be very boring and make this time together seem excruciatingly long, especially with a basketball game on tonight. I'm going to share my secret with you so you can make your own path, no matter what curveball gets thrown at you. My secret is this. When I say that you need to be a graduate of steel, I mean I want you to be like steel. So let me back up a little bit. Although I work as a college president now, my background is in chemistry and metallurgy. I worked at Stelco, at the time a major manufacturing company in Canada, as an analytical chemist. So I know metal and I understand the properties of steel. Let me tell you, as a woman in a male-dominated field, I have had to take on those properties, and they've served me well in everything I've done. Those properties can serve you well too, even if you're not a chemist. And when things get tough, I want you to remember, be a graduate of steel. So the first property to remember is that steel is versatile. You need to be versatile too. Always be open to learning new skills and always find ways to better yourself. It will mean an extra investment of time and effort. Perhaps your company can't afford professional development opportunities right now. That's often the case these days. Or if you start your own company, and many of our graduates do, you don't have a professional development budget. But don't let that stop you. No. Graduates of Steel find their own professional development. They find colleagues and mentors who can show them new skills. They go online and do their own research, and they watch for opportunities for lifelong learning. Sometimes they save up and buy their own tools and equipment so they can be ready whenever that opportunity knocks. Being versatile is the key to being a graduate of steel and being prepared for a changing work market. The next property I'd like you to remember is that when you force steel to change its shape, it does so without breaking if you have prepared it for the change. Remember that outside forces will come along and change your career path when you least expect it. There will be jobs you will lose, enterprises that don't quite catch on, short lists you won't make, and personal setbacks in your life that will push you to the limit. And as a mother of 3 children, I can tell you that if those things don't push you to the limit, being a working parent will. And many of you here already know that. I saw the little children running around earlier. You've already been here with us at Algonquin while raising your family. Remember, though, that if steel has been prepared for the challenge, it doesn't break. It just changes its shape. You must always be prepared to change your shape. It's how you will survive the disappointments and storms of life. Sometimes these changes aren't always easy to accept, but often you'll find that the new shape you create is just as rewarding as the old shape, just in different ways. So when the time comes to change your shape and become something new, remember that you are a graduate of steel, and you will not break. You'll become something new. You'll learn from the changes, and you'll emerge better, smarter, and stronger than before. Another property that's important to remember about steel is its conductivity, a very technical term, I know. You need to be a good conductor, too. You need to be able to bring people together to fight for things that matter: climate change, diversity and inclusion, education, truth and reconciliation. You need to be the person in your workplace who can move the electricity of an initiative forward and channel it towards completion. You need to be the person who can broker the deal, help people achieve, and bring the skeptics on board. Whatever you do, don't be the person that just watches the action. Be that graduate of steel who harnesses it and gets the job done. And finally, one of the most important things to remember is that stainless steel resists corrosion. You need to be ready to do that too. Stand up for what is right and never compromise your own beliefs or ethics. Never let the negativity that may swirl around you prey on your goals or wear you down. No matter where you work or how high you climb, you must be able to look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and know that what you did was right in your heart of hearts. Be a graduate of steel and fight that corrosion at every level. I want to give you some examples of graduates of steel, alumni who are already wonderful illustrations of what I've tried to explain to you tonight. Perth alumni like Jason Gibson, who graduated from the carpentry program and since then has been building timber frames for more than 15 years. With a passion for business on timber, Jason runs Gibson Timber Frames, a company in rural Perth where all the frames are cut. With a flair for teaching, Jason's also been running a private timber framing course for the past 16 years, passing his love of his work on to a new generation. And then there's Carolina Patazzi, who is with the Canadian Air Transport Security Authority at the Ottawa Airport. After graduating from the Police Foundations and Border Services programs at Algonquin, Carolina was hired, and through her work, she ensures the safety of all passengers. Recently, she returned to Algonquin to further her passion for law and investigation through the Forensic Accounting and Fraud Investigations program. Not somebody to mess around with. And Jillian Cummings graduated from the Heritage Carpentry program last year and since then joined the team at Grow Studios. Combining her love for carpentry and her interest in teaching, she now teaches people facing employment barriers how to produce products in wood shops. Jillian is also on the Algonquin College Alumni and Friends Network Advisory Committee, where she is one of the voices for the alumni community. And now we can add your names to this growing list of graduates of steel. You are now a proud member of the Algonquin College Alumni and Friends Network. I encourage you to stay connected with your vibrant alumni community that stretches all around the world. And we're always here to help through continuing education classes here or online. In fact, we're going to be watching you very closely to celebrate your successes and offer assistance for your setbacks. Now, I know your brains are in overdrive right now, and it might be a bit unfair for you to expect to remember all of those properties of steel that I mentioned earlier. That's okay, as long as you remember this. Steel is one of the most important engineering and construction materials known to mankind. But you, and the contributions you will make to the workforce are much more important than steel. You can be faster than a streak of lightning, more powerful than the pounding surf, and mightier than a roaring hurricane. More than that, with your courage, you can believe in yourself. With your compassion, you can help empower other people. With your minds, you can create and innovate. And with your heart of steel, you can truly change the world. Just make sure that that heart of steel is wrapped in a cloak of kindness, because in the end, that's all that really matters. Which leads me to my favorite quote, one I cannot end a convocation without, from Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Good luck, graduates. Miigwech, merci beaucoup. Thanks very much.
Thank you, President Jensen, for your thoughtful remarks and words of wisdom to our graduates of Steel. I'm now pleased to introduce our Perth campus valedictorian. Jeremy Coulter is graduating today from the Police Foundation program. A stellar student, a respected leader, a tireless student ambassador. These are some of the descriptions Jeremy's professors and peers offered in his valedictorian nomination. They are well-deserved. As a mature student, Jeremy chose a compressed program, completing his 2-year credential in 45 weeks. Somehow, he still found time to involve himself in campus life. He often took the lead on food drives and charity events. He also helped numerous students with their coursework. Jeremy's leadership qualities are also evident in the wider community. He coordinates events at Montague Public School, coaches minor hockey, and most recently began work as a detention officer for Corrections Ontario. Jeremy is also the recipient of the Ministry Employees Relations Committee Humanitarian Award. This award is presented to the top recruit of the class for their commitment to team, assisting fellow students, and for being a leader amongst new recruits. Amidst these accomplishments, Jeremy always made the dean's list. As one of his nominators put it, his work was impeccable. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Jeremy Coulter.
Thank you, Vice President Brule. When doing some research, actually, for this speech, I came across some other valedictorian speeches, and one that you may have seen was Robert F. Smith at Morehouse College this year, where he stood up in front of the graduating class and announced that he was paying off all the student loans for the graduating class that year. This is not that speech. Thank you, President Jensen, Dean Hahn, staff, alumni, family, friends, and the graduating class of 2019. You guys look amazing, and congratulations. Earning a college diploma or certificate is a great success. You couldn't get to this moment today without goals and choices. The motto of Algonquin College is your goals, your career, your college. We all chose this college, so tonight I want to talk about goals and choices which will lead to your career and your success. I have 5 things in my life that I use to measure success in my life. They are my career, being a good husband, being a good father, my friendships, and my health, which includes mind, body, and spirit. These 5 things I can look at every year, every month, every week, every day, and evaluate my success and shape my choices. When I was 13 years old, my mother, who was a grade 10 dropout from high school, recently separated, she had 2 children, made the decision to go back to school, get her high school, and and then return to college and actually get her nursing degree. She was 40 years old when she did it, and I was 40 years old when I signed up to come back to college as well. So she was my inspiration in my decision to return to college. At 40, I was laid off from high tech and made the decision to enroll in Police Foundation's program at this school. And because of that decision, I'm now a college graduate, working towards my BA in criminology, and I've just become a correctional officer for the province of Ontario. Thank you. All because of my choice to come here, which moved my life in a new direction. Am I done with my dream? Am I done with my goals? Hell no. When I received a no from the OPP during my application last year, I had the choice to give up or keep going. I will keep moving forward. I made that decision. As you begin your careers, you will likely hear a no, or as President Jensen said, not make a short list. And I will encourage you to keep moving forward. Keep making choices that will keep moving you towards your goal. Being a good husband is a measure of success that I evaluate less than I should because I'm married to an amazing woman who's been very supportive through this process. I have to make little choices each day to send that I love you note, thinking of you. Day-to-day tasks can weigh us down and take us off course in our relationships. When we make these choices daily, whether conscious or unconscious, as we walk across this stage later tonight, we're all surrounded by amazing support of our family, friends, peers. Remember to make those conscious choices to thank them for that support, because we couldn't have made it here tonight without any of them. Being a good father, I need to make sure that I am involved and committed to my daughter. This includes pushing her to recognize her goals and her dreams, and I hope that I can be the same inspiration to her that my mother was for me. My friendships. There's a guy sitting here in the audience tonight who's been my best friend since I was 15 years old. I've at times had to work on that relationship. I've made choices to ensure that we don't ever get disconnected again. There's a saying that if you want to fly like an eagle, you can't surround yourself with turkeys. I've made a choice to surround myself with top people. Finally, my health. When I was working in high tech, I had made some poor choices sitting at a desk job, and 3 years ago, I weighed 250 pounds. I enjoyed eating poutine, burgers, lots of pasta. I've made choices in my life to turn that around. I wanted to get in good physical health for my career and also for my life, so that later in life, I could be around to walk my daughter down the aisle. I decide each day whether to stick to my diet or whether to not. I decide to go to the gym. I make those choices to go to the gym, even when I don't feel like it. I decide to study, as I'm still working on my BA, and I make decisions to work on those papers at home, when it would be very easy to just sit on the couch, watch some Netflix, and relax. These are about choices we make every day. It is said that we make about 35,000 choices on average every day. You make 35,000 choices every day. Many of these decisions are conscious or unconscious or automated based on your conditioning or habits formed in your life. These can vary from what socks to put on in the morning to life-changing choices like going to college, starting a business, or making a commitment or making a decision to commit to something that you know will change everything for you. Choice is the opportunities that we can that can change everything. We can choose what to focus on, what things mean, and what to do. Think about your life. Think about the decisions you make every day. Big choices like attending this college, or smaller choices like deciding to eat food that you know isn't good for you, or watching Netflix instead of practicing your slap shot in the garage. The difference between a great life and a mediocre life is based on those choices that we make every day. What happens does not control your life. What you decide to do with it is what controls your life. Your decisions, your actions. You choose to set goals and work towards those goals, or whether to give up on those goals. Decisions or choices equal your destiny. If you want a new life, make choices, make changes. If you don't like your body, make choices, work at it. If you want a harder slap shot, make choices, practice it. Everything in our lives can be changed to make a choice and commit to it. Your destiny is determined by your choices. So go out, make bold choices, inspire others, and decide what you want to be your own measure of success. Congratulations, class 2019.
Thank you, Jeremy, for those wonderful words from our valedictorian, Jeremy Coulter. Now we move to the part of the ceremony where we recognize you, our graduates, with a presentation of certificates and diplomas. I would like now to call upon Chris Hahn, Dean of the Perth campus, to come forward and introduce the graduates of the Perth campus. Chris.
Thank you, Claude. I am pleased to be here on behalf of the staff and faculty of the Perth campus, who are very proud of all our graduates, all of you, and feel privileged to have been a part of your successful learning journey. So at this time, on behalf of Algonquin College, I would like to acknowledge the commitment and successes of the graduates, and I would ask you now to please rise, the graduates. Madam President, each of these graduates has dedicated themselves to successfully completing the requirements of their program. These individuals are ready to make their mark in their chosen career, and it is with great pleasure and honor that I recommend them for graduation. Thank you, graduates. Please be seated.
Thank you, Dean Hahn. I will now ask President Jensen to step forward to receive our graduates. Guests, families, and friends, may I ask that you hold your applause until all the credentials have been presented so that each graduate's name may be heard. However, a well-placed hoot or howl has never hurt anyone. I would now ask Sarah Monroe, Academic Chair of the Perth campus, to come forward and begin the presentation of the graduates. Sarah?
Graduates of the Business, Management, and Entrepreneurship Program. Edward Cohen. Patrick Dupuy. Lara Hodge. Cole Rooney. Catherine Taylor. Catherine is this year's recipient of the Entrepreneurial Spirit Award. We invite Wendy Martin from the Perth and District Chamber of Commerce to join President Jensen to present Catherine with her award. Finua Zhang. The graduates of the Carpentry and Joinery Heritage Program. Robert Anderson.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Stephen Bradford. Colin Braun. Matthew Bruns. Matthew is the 2019 co-recipient of the Outstanding Achievement in Timber Framing Award and the Outstanding Achievement in Joinery Skills Award. Gabriel Brunn. Gabriel is this year's recipient of the Carpentry and Joinery Heritage to the Carpentry Trade Award. Melanie Kamek. Bailey Delanty. Winston Foley. Stephen Hines. Stephen is this year's co-recipient of the Outstanding Achievement in Joinery Skills Award. Jade Lee Chang Achoa. Michael Lundy. Kiefer McBride. Kiefer is the 2019 recipient of the Dedication to the Field of Preservation in Canada Award. David McIntyre. Gabriel Nerona Skinavini. Stephen Wimet. Zoe Perry. Zoe is a 2018 Weston Family Scholar. We'd invite Carrie Lynn Gleason, lead for the W. Garfield Weston Foundation Skilled Trades Initiative, to come forward to present Zoe with her award. Graduates of the Carpentry and Renovation Technician Program. Oh, no, sorry. Oh, sorry. See, this is, you got to follow the list. All right. Braden Richmond Barker. Simon Steckley. Jamie Wolford. Okay, graduates of the Carpentry and Renovation Technician Program. Jacob Cover. Duncan Dobson. Jordan Fleming. Lily Freeman. Lily is this year's recipient of the Carpentry and Renovation Technician Award for Outstanding Achievement. Carrie Godsey. Timothy Hawkins. Laura Holder. Samuel Kukulatuk. Derek Lapierre. Brian Martin. Michael McCrank. Matthew Newhook. Alexander Rosignan. Alex is this year's recipient of the Carpentry and Renovation Technician Most Improved Student Award. Connor Schroeder. Mateo Soa. Rebecca Watt. Rosh Shanette. Rosh is the 2019 recipient of the Carpentry and Renovation Technician Project Leadership Award. Alexander Okel Joyce. Graduates of the Early Childhood Education Program. Dawn Bain Below. Amy Beaulieu. Amy is this year's recipient of the Award of Excellence in Field Placement. Angela Honorat. Catherine Joint. Rachel Kirkham. Laura Lottie. Caitlin Murphy. Lindsay Payette. Emily Rakowski. Michelle Wolford. Graduates of the Masonry, Heritage, and Traditional Program. Vanessa DiNardo. Vanessa is this year's recipient of both the Masonry, Heritage, and Traditional Award for Outstanding Achievement and the Dedication to the Craft of Masonry Award. Mark Terry. David Thompson. Matthew Williams.
I love you, Mom.
Graduates of the Office Administration Executive Program. Jody Bennett. Leah Corner. Catherine Kugler. Amy Crawford. Rebecca Parker. Elise Peterson. Teresa Ramirez Cruz. Amanda Stoddard. Natasha Strickland. Danica Thompson. Graduate of the Office Administration General Program, Tammy Ropeking. Graduates of the Police Foundations Program, Amber Cameron. Jeremy Coulter. Along with being your valedictorian tonight, Jeremy is also this year's recipient of the Police Foundation's Leadership Award. Kyle Dowdall. Adam Findley. Nicole Hayes. Wyatt Leesert. Napasi Lucasi. Megan Lyons. Carter Orr. Connor Pearson. Sydney Perkins. Cassandra Price. Faith Seabrook. Jennifer Thompson. Ty Wilkinson. Graduates of the Social Service Worker Program, Asma Addy. Brittany Bertram. Deborah Birch. Courtney Klein. Sarah Dupuis. Mackenzie Jackson. Ruth Mabundu. Carrie Morton. Christine Mulville. At the very end. Tiana Pitts. Morgan Thibault. Donna Todd. Amanda Vaudry. Jolene Villeneuve-Warnock. Caitlin Way. Ethan Wright. Ethan is this year's recipient of the Improving Lives and Building Community Award. I would ask Helen McIntosh, Chair of Lanark County United Way Advisory Council, to come forward to present Ethan with his award. Leah Young. Lauren Kirchhoff. Fallon Webster. Graduates of the Personal Support Worker Program. Ocean Burke. Kimberly Carlisle. Kimberly is the 2019 recipient of the inaugural Personal Support Worker Joanne Rogers ACE Award. Scotia Duncan. Anne-Marie Hubert. Annette Lebrun. Annette is this year's recipient of the Excellence in Home Care Award. I would invite Jeff Davis, Clinical Manager of Bayshore Home Health Care, to come forward to present this award to Annette. Caitlin Mackney. Tammy Mallet. Kirsten McPhee. Jenny Lynn Morrow. Jenny Lynn is this year's recipient of the Improving Lives and Building Community Award. I would ask Helen McIntosh, Chair of the Lanark County United Way Advisory Council, to come forward to present her with this award. Caitlin North. Tina Pilot. Alicia Richard. Rebecca Stimson. Victoria Tompkins. Danielle Treff. Amber Tysick. Bailey Watts. Karen Wilson. Caitlin Wynn. May I please ask the graduates of the Perth campus to please rise. Guests of the graduates, the Algonquin College Perth campus class of 2019.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, Sarah, for announcing the names of all our graduates. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you. Yeah, all right. President Jensen, may I ask that you please remain standing as we'll invite you to join our donors and presenters in awarding college and campus awards for this evening. Now, Convocation is also the occasion to present special awards to students who have excelled in their academic career. Our program awards were all presented moments ago to our graduates, and we're very thankful for all of the sponsors, agencies, and organizations who have given the awards that you saw earlier at the program level. We know that not only the recipients enjoy them, but they're very meaningful and important to the programs and the program staff. So thank you for that. So we'd like now to present the remaining campus awards, and we will begin with the Robert C. Gillett Leadership Award. This award is presented to graduating students in a post-secondary or graduate certificate program who demonstrates exemplary volunteer leadership, which contributes to the overall Algonquin College student experience. I would like to invite this year's recipient, Jamie Wolford, a graduate of the Carpentry and Joinery Heritage Program, to come forward and receive his award. Congratulations, Jamie. Our next award, the Algonquin College Perth Campus Annual Award for Excellence, is presented to a graduate of the Perth campus who has maintained a high level of academic achievements and has made an outstanding contribution to supporting school activities and influencing the quality of life at the campus. I would like to invite Dean Hahn forward to join President Jensen in presenting this year's Perth Campus Annual Award of Excellence to Karen Wilson, a graduate of the Personal Support Worker Program. Congratulations, Karen. And now the Perth Campus Indomitable Spirit Award. This award is presented to a graduate of a post-secondary program who has made a significant contribution to campus and/or program activities while overcoming significant challenges. We'd like to invite Linda Cook, former dean and wonderful supporter of the Perth campus, to come forward and present the award this evening. The Perth Campus Indomitable Spirit Award this year goes to Laura Lorty, graduate of our Early Childhood Education Program. Congratulations, Laura. Finally, the Perth Campus Leadership Award. This award is presented each year to a graduate of a post-secondary program who has demonstrated leadership with both student and campus initiatives, has contributed to the local community, and has a grade point average of at least 3.0. That's out of 4, by the way. At this time, I would like to invite Joel McCartney, former dean and wonderful friend of the campus, to join President Jensen as we present the Perth Campus Leadership Award to our 2019 recipient, Michelle Wolford, graduate of the Early Childhood Program. Congratulations, Michelle. And thank you, Linda and Joan. It's a pleasure to have you with us again this evening. So once again, congratulations to our graduate as well as our award recipients. Well done. And look at this, it's only 8:45. Yes. We've come to the end of our evening's program, and there are many within the college who work very hard behind the scene to plan and coordinate such a ceremony. And although they're too numerous to mention, I would like us to take a moment to thank them for their efforts. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to celebrate with you tonight, and it's also my pleasure to welcome you, our graduates, as our newest member of the Algonquin Alumni Association. Please be sure to send us your success stories and stay connected with the Algonquin Alumni website. As we come to the end of our program, we invite all of our graduates, their families and friends, to gather in the atrium and continue celebration. There, you'll find several areas where you can take pictures. We do need to ask you to leave your academic gowns with our team, though, before you leave the school. Videos of tonight's ceremony will be available online for you to share with your families and friends who have not been able to make it this evening, and you'll find this link on our Perth campus website shortly. Many thanks to you, our graduates, and your family and friends for joining us tonight. Congratulations once again, and best wishes. At this time, I would like you to please stand, and if you are able, and remain standing until the end of the recession of the stage party, the faculty, and the graduates. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening. Go Raptors, go!